Hello, this is Friella Pang, and I'm doing a scene analysis presentation for English 3-1 with VVS. This shot is at the 28th second mark of the clip that I used. So in this scene, the camera is panning while tracking the movement of 3 marching boys, and then later including the teacher that had started to march along with them. The tracking allows the viewers to see the uniformity of their stride pace as it becomes important later when Mr. Keating starts to discuss about it. The panning also allows the angle to eventually show the teacher in front of the trio's lineup to show his power in relation to the students, because he is essentially teaching them. But there's also the similar height between him and the students to show that he is not dominating and he is only trying to lead them. There's also the panning. The panning also shows the movement of the characters, so I discussed. This is important because, as we know, classrooms are usually stationary. So when there's movement in the characters, there is movement in the camera, and it demonstrates the theme of conformity in the movie, or the lack thereof, because usually in a classroom, everyone's staying still, and therefore the camera will stay still. But in this act of rebellion, this classroom is moving, and therefore there's less conformity in this movie. In this slide, there are 2 images. The top one will be representing a shot at the 16th second, and the bottom one will be representing a shot at the 17th second. They are eye-level shots, and they prelude the arrival of the clapping that everyone will be doing in reaction to the marching of the trio of boys that was shown in the previous slide. This angle gives a close-up of the characters near the camera and a medium shot of the ones further away, giving us access to the details and of the emotions and body language of the students. But most importantly, they show the facial expressions and the position of the boys' heads. So you can see their faces, which they mostly have confused expressions. But at the top image, the boys near the camera are facing the camera versus the second shot, where they're turned away. This angle shows that they're looking side to side at each other, and they're looking at their faces, looking at their hands, wondering what the collective opinion of the group, trying to figure out how to conform. This shot also arranges them as a unit, as they're all in a line, they all have short hair, and they all have the same uniform, so it shows their conformity to their standards and whatnot. And, of course, as this shot is at head height, it makes you feel as if you're a student by making you feel part of the group. And then it makes you feel the force of the peer pressure and conformity that they're experiencing. So all in all, this shot really shows the forces of conformity in this school. This is a medium close shot that was taken at the 1 minute and 36 second mark. What we can see is Mr. Keating at the front and the students at the back. The blocking shows that he's the main character of the shot. Therefore, the main effect of this angle is to create a closeness to Mr. Keating to allow us to see his emotions. With the way that he is positioned, you can see his facial expression and his body language. It amplifies the persuasiveness of his speech because it allows the audience to see how heartfelt it is. The lighting also creates an effect on the shot because the boys in the back have a darker lighting in comparison to Mr. Keating's face, which is in the light with a halo effect. This symbolizes his wisdom and demonstrates a difference in enlightenment between him and the students. There's also the focus of the shot. It's in deep focus. This focus is quite interesting because while his speech is enlightening the audience, there's a purpose to his speech as a character. The deep focus shows this, as you can clearly see the boys behind him. Let me explain. While there could have been a shallow focus on Mr. Keating to direct the speech towards the audience, the students, as I said, are in focus in the scene. This allows the viewers to recognize Mr. Keating's words are also affecting the students. The boys in the background also contribute to the scene as well because their feedback affects the mood. Lastly, at the long shot at the 1 minute and 55th second mark of the clip, the viewers are able to see the entire break in formation when Mr. Keating tells them to start having individuality, firstly by walking in their so-called own way. This gives the audience the entire picture in comparison to their previous straight standardized line that they were standing in beforehand. The lighting also has a meaning in this scene. The lighting in this scene creates a framing where the shadows cover the class, whereas the main school building in the background is brightly lit. This conveys the difference and the possible secrecy between this class and the rest of the institution. It also foreshadows the greater effects of Mr. Keating's teachings as it looks at the students' actions in the bigger environment of the school, as it is strange and may go against the probable traditional standards of the school based on the school's appearance and the uniform. Basically, it foreshadows the non-compliance and rebelliousness that may appear in this class in relation to the rest of the school. In conclusion, this shot makes the audience think about the big picture of the story. In this scene of the Dead Poets Society, Peter Weir directed using a combination of camera movement, camera angle, lighting, focus, and blocking, as well as other film techniques to convey the impacts of Mr. Keating's speech to the audience. In using panning and tracking, we were able to see the uniformity in their impromptu marching. The blocking showed the power dynamics between Mr. Keating and his students. The movement also added to the theme of individuality in the film. The use of specific camera angles were used to convey the causes and the meanings of the actions of the characters, such as this pressure of conformity within the ranks of the students and the importance of Mr. Keating in the scene. The lighting of the scene was also artfully managed in the scene to highlight the wisdom and the influence of Mr. Keating's words, and to isolate the class from the rest of the school to foreshadow the non-compliance later on in result of his lessons.